Hello, it's Roddy again, and today, again, as usual, I'm going to be practicing my English, and my topic for today is this. I'm going to be talking about my old PlayStation 2 and how it reminds me of some amazing memories and what those amazing memories are. So let's start. Okay. So this PlayStation 2 is a very, very old device. It's an old gaming console. It's more than 20 years old. That's how old it is. But having said that, it's easy to conclude that I've had lots of experiences with this gaming console. And that's correct. Because I've played a lot of games with the help of this PlayStation 2, namely Tekken Tag Tournament 1 and Tekken 5 with my friends. Now, disclaimer, I am not a Tekken expert. I am not a pro Tekken player. I never have been a pro Tekken player, nor an expert, okay? So anyway, I've played lots of Tekken games with my friends with the help of this PlayStation 2. And while I could talk about how I and my friends played Tekken 5 and which characters we played, which I still remember, I would like to talk about something far more, let's say, technical, if you will. You know, Tekken 5 and Tekken Tag 1 are old Tekken games that have no DLCs, no downloadable content. They have no rage arts or rage mechanics. Okay. But apart from those things, another thing that Tekken 5 and Tekken Tag 1 don't have is obviously online games. They don't offer online games. That's just the way it is. And because of that, during the era of Tekken Tag 1 and Tekken 5, because you couldn't blame the developers for anything that would happen in the game, you couldn't just send tweets or instant messages to Bandai Namco or any representative of Bandai Namco. There were only a few things that you could do. Number one, you could simply observe and accept the characters for what they were. You could simply observe that some characters were just objectively more powerful than the others. Some characters were just completely at a disadvantage most of the time. And we simply had no choice but to accept them and play the games despite of them because we loved playing the games anyway. So for example, if one person played Anna Williams in Tekken 5, who was at that game was a massive disadvantage against many other characters, and he played against let's say a Nina player who was at Tekken 5, a character with lots of advantages, then the Anna Williams player would have no choice but to simply play Anna Williams and just make ways to win and just play. No one could simply complain to Bandai Namco or Namco at the time and say, hey, like, you know, Nina is so busted, Anna is so nerfed. No one could simply complain. People simply had to accept what the game was, what the characters were, what the mechanics were, and they simply played. Which didn't just make the game enjoyable, it built our character. We focused on what was our control, namely our gameplay, our decisions, our movements, our attitude, and we simply accepted the things that were not within our control. So for example, it was beyond our control that some characters would be completely underpowered, like Anna Williams, for example. And it was also not within our power that some characters would be extremely powerful and busted, like Anna Williams and Steve Fox and Fang, for example. Okay, so we didn't just accepted the game for what it was and enjoy the game. It taught us resilience, toughness, patience, and courage. To accept that if you played this particular character against another particular character, you would be at a disadvantage. And if you really loved this nerfed character, that you would have to accept that you would be playing a character that you love who was nerfed against a character who was overpowered, and you would be at a disadvantage most of the time. People simply had to make ways. No one complained. And what was even more amazing at the time was, because games happened offline, people simply had to behave. The most scrubby thing that anyone could do was to complain and get angry for losing or for being at a disadvantage or for hating some overpowered characters. That was the most scrubby thing that anyone could do at the time, at least in my community. I'm not an expert Tekken player. I've never been an expert Tekken player, but that was just the reality at the time. Okay? And so, again, we enjoyed the game and accepted it for what it was. And because of that, we learned and practiced resilience, courage, adaptability, mindfulness, concentration, and basically respect and sportsmanship. I never saw anyone in my community who felt bitter or complained about Fang being overpowered, or Nina being busted, or Devil Jin being like so unfair. No one. Okay, we knew that some characters were objectively more powerful than the others, but we didn't complain about them. We simply said, "Oh, they're they are overpowered," but that's okay. That's they are like character. They are some of the toughest characters in the game that we just have to deal with. Yeah, that's what we said. Okay. So that's it. Like, that's a very important lesson that we can all apply up to this day. We focus on what is within our power, and we simply accept what is not within our power. And I guess that's a fundamental lesson in life, and from Stoicism, and even from Buddhism. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening.